Okay, so good morning, distinguished guests and our honorable participants. Today we are at the session of Friends for Internet. And today internet plays, as we all know, the greater role, and not only governments and international organizations should do something about it, but we, as youth representatives and as civil society, we are to enhance, to improve this situation. And now I would like you to share your experience with the audience in order maybe to attract new partners, to get new acquaintances, to maybe someone to join your projects. Yeah, excuse me, just take a seat, please. Yes. Okay, so now I would like to give the floor to Augustina Ordonez, advisor and policy at the Chamber of Deputies of Argentina. So with the topic of network of parliamentarians in Latin American continent. So the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to this panel. Thank you for being here so early in the morning. So I'm Agustina Ordóñez. I work at the Chamber of Deputies, where So the story began 3 years ago. I come from Argentina, and I was studying doing a summer program in Oxford University, and it was about the global south. So we were discussing things related to internet governance, to technology, and law, and media. And for me, it was funny because it was about the global south, and it was 2 weeks, and we didn't have even one panel because they were like different like sessions, like workshops. We didn't have any panel that was about Latin America, and I was like, we are here. We came like we. It was me, two or three Brazilian people, and two Colombians, and I was like, we're here to speak about Global South. We are Latin Americans here, and we don't have one panel. So, and this is a little bit incorrect to say, like political incorrect. I got drunk to have the courage to speak to the director of the program, and I told her, "It's fine. I love what you are doing. Thank you so much for inviting me. But you know what? If you're gonna say in your program that you're gonna talk or this is gonna be about the global south, and you invite people from Latin America, you should have a panel on Latin America." And she was like, "Okay, fair enough. We're gonna have the panel." So the next week of the program, this was during the first week. The second week, we had a panel on Latin America. So what I wanna say with this is basically sometimes, and I think it happens especially with the global south, that even though we have some spaces where we can like go and now we're more included in the global talk, let's say, uh, before we didn't have the space, or we had to took everything that came from the north global, and now we can put ourselves there and make our voices heard. But the thing is, like sometimes, like here, it happened that we had the space, but they didn't even like take account into Latin America. After this happened, I went to the IGF in Katowice, and I realized at the parliamentary track, now I'm working at the parliamentary track in Argentina, well, in Latin America, and I also realized there that there were, I think, 3 or 4 parliamentarians from Latin America. Then in last year in Kyoto, I realized that after 2 years, because I didn't go to Ethiopia, nothing happened between Katowice and Kyoto. Nothing at all at the parliamentary track. And since I work at the Chamber of Deputies in Argentina, I said like, I should do something. Like, we have this space. There are funds there for people from Latin America and from all around the world, not only for Latin America, but for parliamentarians to come here, and no one is doing nothing about this. I should do something. So I started this network of parliamentarians from Latin America and the Caribbean who are working on digital matters. And basically, what I want to do is have our own vision, our own agenda of what Latin American Caribbean people think, want, and need. Because it's different, even though there are a lot of countries in the region, we share some things that are for all of us, like institutionalized corruption or poverty, or I mean, we have so many history and so many things in common that I saw this as an opportunity for us to raise our voice and to have our voice and our needs in the parliamentary track, in at the UN, in a global forum. So what I aim you to do is when you see these opportunities, don't let them pass. There are a lot of opportunities for us, for youth, to be in place. Like I'm 34, but when I started this, I was 30, and I had a baby of 6 months. So you can do it. You can put yourself over there. You just have to do it. To take the courage, maybe not get drunk, but get the courage to do it, because in the way since I started and now, I found a lot of people who wanted to help me, who wanted to be with me, who encouraged me, who gave me their knowledge, to share with me their contacts. Like, for us, there is an opportunity, but we have to be brave and take that opportunity. And please, if you know any parliamentarian from Latin America and the Caribbean, introduce them to me. Thank you.
So, thank you so much. Yeah. So, one of the questions I have for you is that do you work on a bilateral just base, or within some sort of integrational unities?
But again, sorry, I didn't hear because I was.
Uh,
It didn't work.
so, do you work on a bilateral basis with the countries of Latin American, Caribbean, or is it within some integrational unities? For example, UNASUR maybe, there's Mercosur.
Yeah, no. So the thing in Latin America is that we don't have, it's Latin America and the Caribbean. The Caribbean sometimes it's more difficult because they're in the island and it's not that reachable. But no, I don't work like with an institution. It was something that I just started by myself. I just saw the opportunity. It was like, I do not need any institution to do this. Institutions will come to me as they are, as they are coming to me, because it was like, if we already have these institutions, we don't have one institution for all Latin America and the Caribbean, so it doesn't exist. But apart from that, it was like we already have a lot of institutions and they're not working and they're not doing this. So why would I go to them to do something that they're not doing because they have a lot of bureaucracy too? Like I can do it by myself, quicker, and then they will come to me. And actually, right now, they're doing that. Like for instance, Parlasur, that is the parliament. So it's a union of parliamentarians for the south of for the American South. Well, they're coming to me, some parliamentarians from there, asking like, "What are you doing? Can you share your knowledge? Can you share your best practices?" And it's like, sometimes you don't have to wait for institutions, or you don't need institutions. I mean, it's a good thing to have institutions that back you, that because it's not the same being, hi, my name is Agustina, and I want you to join my network. But the good thing, and maybe this is a Latin American thing, people trust each other. So, and because I come from the parliament, so I work at the Chamber of Deputies, and I think that also, even though it's not that I belong there, but it's an institution that can have my background, like back me up. They trusted me, and because I was here also. So I think that's another thing I want to say. Here there is a lot of people that can get into your network or can join you or can support you, and not even only financially. Because for instance, this year I organized 2 summits of parliamentarians of Latin America and the Caribbean, one in Argentina and the other one in Chile, and we didn't get any money at all. But because I knew how the chambers of deputy and the Senate in Latin America work, because you do not need money for parliamentarians to travel, and that's something for you to know. So if you organize something, you only need to send them the invitation, like personalized invitation, because they can ask their parliament to fund them. Because I knew that because I work at the chamber, I just said like, okay, I want to do this. I asked Celine Bal, that is in charge of the parliamentary track. I said like, I want to organize this summit for parliamentarians in Latin America and the Caribbean about AI. So here, a deputy of Argentina who joined me, Martin Chiesa, he's over there. We organized it together. And she said like, yeah, sure, let's do it. What do you need? I just need the logo of the IGF and the parliamentary track. That's it. I need the institution to support that we are doing this. And she was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I just organized it. And that was it. Obviously, I didn't need an institution, but having the IGF behind that, it's a really good thing. So I also encourage you to join or meet people from the secretariat or from the youth or from like something here that could be your partner on what you are doing.
Okay, so thank you so much for such an inspiring speech, and I think that the majority of youth here can work on some issues and that bring us to the better future. So yeah, thank you so much, and now I would like to give the floor to Marko Pawlowski, the coordinator of IGF in Macedonia, steering committee at YACIG. So, Marco, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me here. So yes, I'm here maybe more representative of the Youth Coalition on Internet Governance. I'm coming from Eastern Europe, but the topic is still relevant because Youth Coalition on Internet Governance is they have in the leadership board we have from each region one person. And what I wanted to emphasize before I jump into it's very interesting because the people, the youth from the global south are more active or more involved in not just in intergovernance, but we are here for intergovernance to speak, more active than the rest of the world, and they are still not the topics presented at the IGF, especially the global IGF. So I will give just a short example of what we are doing as a Youth Coalition Intergovernance. It's voluntary and initiative, so we are not established somewhere in the world. And our idea is to help the youths navigate to the internet governance world. Sometimes we are organizing webinars, especially for the IGF now. We organized onboarding orientation webinars. Also, there is a group that we created, a youth in Riyadh. I don't know if some youth is not here. Maybe we can later add the group. And there we discuss about what's happening, some youth sessions that are there, some after the IGF social gatherings or something like that. There is a newsletter that we are also sending with all the initiatives on a monthly basis. The whole idea is to help the youths, to bring them together. Sometimes when we are organizing webinars or something, when we need speakers for specific region, we usually use that the mailing list. Yeah, I didn't mention, but there is a mailing list. It's open, so everyone can join there and share resources, ask questions. So the whole idea is to help the youths navigate through this, how can I say, complex and big internet governance world. And everyone is helpful, like previously mentioned. If someone needs help, I mean, not just the youths, but also the other people are very helpful in this world. I want to a little bit revert to the issue that we in the beginning tackled then, and what I mentioned before is because now, for example, we have, in Youth Coalition Internet Governance, the board is every year changing. So we have now elections in January, and the idea that the thing that I mentioned is we have a lot of youths that are from Global South joining as how can I say, submitting their candidacy, then from the rest of the world, for example, Europe or for example, the Europe, because where is the participation is on the lowest. I can say. I don't know why. But that's I think a big issue, and we are always trying to do some to bring to the IGF some topics that are not covered, because usually, as you mentioned, if you saw the agenda, some of the topics are maybe each year a little bit changed or coming to discuss the same, but does the same thing, but other topics are not covered at all with the years, like you mentioned, from Poland to now to which is I think 4 years from Poland, Ethiopia. Yeah, this is the third year, with Poland fourth year. But yes, Youth Coalition IGF is here to encourage also the youth. To submit the session. We also organizing when the open call for session is open. webinar on how to submit it, because it's not, if you are new to IGF or second time maybe and never submitted a session, it's really hard because it needs to know what to write, how to write, and of course they are not selecting only a certain number. And usually each year we are trying to do those kind of calls and also later groups, so we can organize between us, because there are a lot of people that want to apply, and if we have similar idea why to apply with two proposals, why not as a one? There is more chances, and especially because some of the session requests somewhat like practices to have from each region participant, and sometimes it's very hard. Maybe you have the topic to discuss it, but don't know someone from, I don't know, Asia or maybe in Latin America, but I want to talk about Latin America. I mean, I don't know, I have the thing, but so we use this kind of groups and communication, so we can collaborate between us and apply for that in this case. What I wanted to say with this is that if you see that something is not represented, do something about it, like you mentioned. Maybe you don't need to be drunk to do it or something like that. You will find some other way, but I would say do something. Okay, you don't see this year a session about Latin America. Okay, next year when it's the proposal, apply with some kind of proposal. I don't know, join the mailing list. We're here always happy to help. I mean, even if we don't have a plan to have a session on Latin America, if there is someone requesting that and we see that it's, I mean, needed, of course, because it's not in the program, then we're gonna help with contacts, I don't know, with maybe drafting, maybe other point of views, something like that. So we are the youth. Sometimes they say that we are the next generation, but yesterday we also talk about, no, we are the present generation. I mean, we are using more the technology and the issues we are facing. It's more reflecting on us than on the older generation, because everyone is on the phone, on the tablet, we are learning on that and everything. So I would say that if you see something that is not working, let's do something and take some action. I mean, we are here as a Youth Coalition Internet Governance to help. I mean, we are not the only one. There is Internet Society, Standing Group Youth, there are other also initiatives, but I think it's the same energy wherever we go with those kind of initiatives. So that will be from my side as an intro, and
Okay, thank you so much. It came to me that it looks like the start of a global civil society in this international internet governance in this sphere, and how can we maybe improve other spheres to be as efficient as you work. So I think that's a great example of interaction between people from all over the world, and I think that in some different spheres it's not the same, but everywhere we need this sort of coordination, this assistance, just to be more proactive. Maybe any advice how to put it like that?
In the other sphere, other than internet governance? Oh, that's a good question. I would say also the space is needed, because also when I joined it in internet-related things or internet governance in 2018, the whole space here, it's very, how can you say, welcomed. Maybe we don't have that much session. Also, I'm coming from Macedonia, which is in Eastern Europe, and we don't talk about Balkan or Eastern Europe issues, but that's also, I wouldn't bring it now, it's another topic. But everyone was helpful. Even when you ask, I'm new, they want to introduce you. There is also, I think the one good side here is that also many organization or maybe institution trying to get you involved here, like giving with the fellowships, there are also schools on internet governance, now I don't know, more than 20, which try to involve you, and everyone is very welcomed. I know not every other sphere is like this. Sometimes the people don't want to help you, or they see you as a competition. But if you want to collaborate and if you want to achieve something, I think that the communication is the key part. Maybe not same like here, but be open, be transparent, and I don't know, try to help, because even if it's helping you to someone else who you maybe don't know or something, both or the whole initiative is going. So it's not just you helping him and he will know something, or he will, how can I succeed and you don't, or something like that. So the communication and sharing. I mean, I agree that in the other parts, in the sectors, it's not like this. But I think we should change that. And maybe one of the things why is that happening is because this whole internet governance process is based on multi-stakeholderism and bottom-up process. So maybe that's why if we change a little bit the perspective on how we are seeing the things and how we are approaching them, maybe it will change also how the stakeholders are reacting. Because if it's top down, it's more easy for me to say, I don't know, not help you or something like that. It's, how can I say, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say that it's different also not to help you, but I don't know, I think the process and the whole approach, how we are giving it's the playing the key role here. Yeah.
Okay, so it all starts with us, and we all should put a lot of efforts just to do something. But still, I think that's the atmosphere which we can create will definitely help us in this in all matters.
I mean, if there is a good example that you can replicate in some other sectors, of course, I think with the time they will start changing their minds.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, thank you so much, Marco. Now I would like to give a floor to Mariana Alves Arayo Lopez. Yeah, am I right? Lopez. So, and she represents youth program from CGI, Brazilian Internet Steering Committee. So, Mariana, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, my name is Mariana. I'm from Brazil. I'm 29 years old, and it's nice to talk about my age because this can encourage another youth, right? I work with internet as a researcher and as a promoter of internet governance between another youths younger than me and we promote to the digital skills to other Brazilians national projects. As a researcher, I'm a master's student in law. We focus in algorithm discrimination, regulation, and critical race theories. We have a special issue in Brazil about racial points. And I'm working promoting awareness about the algorithm discrimination impact. Mostly, it has been done promoting story groups, universities, or collective publications focused in civil society and parliamentary issues and things like that. Therefore, in this year, I have the honor of being one of the 5 facilitators in the youth program of the Brazilian Internet Steering Committee. The main goal of the program is to promote internet governance in Brazilian youth under 25 years old and empower themselves to participate and act as leaders in the governance in Brazil and international space. Each year, the program receives about 300 participants. They are selected to participate in an online course. 10 of them are selected to go to the Latin America IGF, and other 10 are selected to go to here to the IGF. So we have 10 of them here. And both participants, 20, they are invited and they are sponsored to be in the Brazilian IGF too. We call it FIB. So, and in this year, actually, especially this year, we also managed to bring 5 to the IGF Lusófono. It's like IGF to all the Portuguese speakers community, and 20 to the Net Mundial Plus 10. That was an event promoted in São Paulo to rediscuss the Net Mundial. Net Mundial, in English. But well, as facilitator, I and my other 4 colleagues help the committee to select these students. We work as a mentors during all the course, and we evaluate the participants too. And we have workshops to train them about how to contribute during the sections, the Brazilian sections and the national sections. We have workshops to help them how to write, how to submit a session to the international event. So the Youth Coalition. Actually, we have youths in the Youth Coalition too. And doing the distribution of the sponsorships, we consider not only their notes, the notes that the activities that we have, but the diversity too. So we analyze the distribution of their cities in the Brazilian geography. We have a really huge, large country, so it's interesting to us to bring here not only a hegemonic view of Brazil, but a diverse view of Brazil. We consider their gender, we consider their race or color, and the field of activity. I mean, it's important to have not only engineers, but lawyers, and not only lawyers, but pedagogues. I mean, I guess that's in English, okay, and other fields. So it's really interesting. For example, in 2020, we had a psycholog. How can I say psychologo?
Psicólogo.
Psychologo?
Psicólogo?
Yeah.
Psychologist.
Psychologist, thank you. Sorry, it's asking help for a Spanish speaker. But we have a psychologist, and nowadays she's working with TikTok. So it's really interesting to see how they will develop their abilities and go to the internet governance agenda. And well, so that's it. And after to select all the 20 students, we prepare them to participate in all the events. We encourage them to support and to actively collaborate in all the sections. And it's really interesting. So we are here to talk about this program, to encourage you about to have this kind of program in your countries too. As Marco said, he told us that we have a lot of South people in the international events, and I guess that mostly it's because of this Brazilian program, because maybe more than just South people, we have a lot of Brazilian people. And we want to have more South people from other countries too. That's why we encourage the Latin American Caribbean IGF, but this program is really big important to have this kind of representative. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. So you said that your project is some sort of good, make a good impact on the Global South participation in IGF formats. Maybe you have some partnerships with different same entities from all over the world, or are there any practices like that in your organization?
So nice. Well, the Brazilian Internet Committee, Steering Internet Committee, has a kind of chair in the Latin American and Caribbean IGF. So it's a way to have more partnership, to have institutional partnership to promote initiative like that. But still, I guess that most important and mostly impactful action is the youth themselves efforts of to organize another events in a parallel way. I mean, as I told you, I know that we have a lot of youths that found a lot of other youths in another country in these events. I mean, in the middle of the space, and they just started to talk, and then 2 months after they build another event, you know. So talking about the Latin America, for example, we have the official like IGF, but we have the youth like IGF, and this year the youth like IGF, that's what promoted by youths, were bigger than the institutional event. And not because we have like the institutional support. The institutional support was good too, but more because of their own initiative. So as she told us, their themselves initiative is really important. So we help them to put themselves here, to empower them, to show each of them to your all the countries here, and then they will build a lot of other projects. So I guess it's more for that way.
Okay, no, thank you so much. Thank you. So I have one question for each of you. So I've read in some newspapers and in some articles that today, instead of globalization as a trend, we can find glocalization, which stands for global localization. Which point of view do you personally support? Is it still globalization as we all got used to perceive it, or it's still now it's certainly this glocalization? So, what's your point of view on this?
I mean, it's a good question. I don't know. This is my opinion. I think there, globalization is taking part very much, and already on some places, I think it's like you mentioned, the globalization is localization now. But there are still certain parts of the world that still are not under globalization. It's a good thing about about what we are specifically talking about, because I think to some extent it's good to have to some basic level some globalization, so you some certain things which is standardized or maybe everywhere the same, but I wouldn't go that much to everything to be globalized and that to become the new localization or something like that, because that's the beautiful sometimes on the local things or stuff, I mean behaviors, things, how they are working and all those kind of things, because of for a specific region. I mean that's, how can I say, remarkable for that region or country or whatever we are talking about. So I was think that sometimes it's maybe too much globalization, but I still come back. Depends on what we are directly talking on the topic, because it's for some things maybe it's relevant to be everything globalized or something like that. But for some, I would think that we need to be on the local thing, and because not everything that is in the global or maybe in the rest of the world working, it will work in the depends on the region or country locally. Maybe it won't. I mean, different people, different, yeah. But still depends on the topic.
Yeah, I see. I see. So,
So I want to add to that yes, at least what I experienced in Latin America and in Argentina, and that's why I wanted to have an agenda of Latin America, is this thing that obviously, since we all have a smartphone, we all have a computer here, like here at the IGF, and probably in Argentina 70% of the population, but there is 30% of the population that do not have connectivity, that they are in rural areas, and it's completely different from the other 70%. And this is a reality that is not only in Argentina, it's in Latin America, and it's around the world. So obviously, we are connected. Globalization, it's something that we cannot escape from. But at the same time, I think, and this is more governmental, but I think policies and laws should address local issues, even though we are talking about here, for instance, in a global level or an international level. You always have to take into account the people that is from your country and your reality. That we have a saying that says like that don't let the forest to don't for you not to see the tree. It'll be something like that in translation. So you don't think, if you are here, like globalization is everything and we all have to think in all realities, because even here, like for instance, I will give you an example. The other day we were discussing about the AI bill that was in the UA, in the European Union, yeah, and we were discussing about that in Latin America, and it was like, yeah, maybe in Europe, the thing is like hate of speech, or maybe I don't know, algorithms, or because they're in a different level, and I don't mean like in development, because I don't want to see it that way, but their issues are different from ours. So maybe in Argentina or in Latin America, it doesn't make any sense having a bill on AI, because I don't know, if we have more bills, if we have more laws, even the laws that we have right now in Latin America, they're not being respected. Like people usually do not respect law. There is a lot of corruption, and that's something that usually do not happen, or the amount or the percentage that happens, it's not the same as in Latin American countries. So, in that sense, what I mean is like, even though we need to have, and what I propose here is like minimum standards for everyone when we develop technology and when we do these kind of things. We always have to take into account in the bills that we draft or in the policies that we have in our countries, the reality of our countries.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, please.
Well, I guess it's a trick question and it's really hard question. Maybe I have a polemical opinion about that. Well, as I see, the globalization is a North global project, maybe a little bit continuously project of colonization project. I mean, a general way. And I know that global north, it's a really huge area. We have a lot of different views of life and problems in the global north. But nowadays, I guess that the south are looking more about their own problems, as you told us. So the localization, it's maybe a new strategy of to really worry about our problems. But I don't think so that the globalization and localization is like concepts that are opposed. I mean, there are parallel phenomena because even we have a problem in the Latin America that other country in the west of the Europe or the east of Europe, maybe it's the same problem, and the globalization maybe in a more democratical way can have solutions to both regions. So there are complex phenomena, and that's what I see. At the same time, I see the localization phenomenon in the north as some political strategies to protect themselves of the south movement to have more independence, more economical, education, and political independence. So maybe it's a polemical opinion, but it's a complex opinion too. So we better to talk more if someone want to talk. But what I see, thinking about the Latin America region.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your opinion. Now it's maybe Q&A session. So does anyone have any questions to our speakers? Maybe just to discuss something about the activities for Friends for Internet. Are there any? Okay. So it's still morning, and people are still. You have question. Okay.
I have a question
Yeah.
to our audience to wake up a little bit.
Oh, yeah. That's great. That's great.
We're going to change this. The question is from us to you. If you have any initiative as youth, or not youth, because not only is youth in the audience, if you have any initiative that you want to share with us that we can contribute with you, with what we mentioned, or I don't know, if you want to say or share an initiative that you have that you can share with us.
So, are there any? So, once again, the same question here. Yeah.
Maybe she can use mine.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I'm not
So,
sure if I'm audible from here.
Just wait a little bit. Just we need to.
Perfect. It's not
Yeah.
I would say it's not a very specific initiative, but rather a legislative proposal that in some countries where was developed regarding to the right to internet, which is a very interesting concept if you go a little bit deeper into this. Some countries actually did put that into their constitution. Some of them, of course, are having very, I would say, valid concerns over the sovereignty of their national, security, if you will. So this is also something that perhaps, from a legislative perspective could be also interesting to just develop and think, in which country Is that acceptable? Is it acceptable for everyone? If yes, like, you know, in which type of concept? Because at the end of the day, the digitalization is part of who we are today. So many things, from payments to digital everything, you know, it's impossible right now to not have a digital presence, right? So I've just came back actually from 1 month in China. You cannot do anything without WeChat, without WePay, Alipay, etc. So everything is connected to your digital ID. And that is a little bit of, you know, interesting situation, because like if your phone dies, you're no one. Like you cannot get back to the hotel, you cannot pay, you cannot authenticate yourself somewhere, you cannot do anything. So people don't prefer cash, so cash is not even a thing. So it's a very interesting concept in general on how you know, the right to internet is something, you know, to work on. Of course, it's connected to the digitalization, to the satellites, to the you know, to how we cover certain regions that are eventually less developed. We of course have you know, Starlink and OneWorld and you know, other companies related to this that are doing, of course, their fair share, but on another I would say moment, they are companies that are private companies, right? So they have, of course, their own interests, and this is a little bit of more of a broader topic connected to space law. So what do we do with the breeze and you know, and many different things. So I think if this is something to be developed in general in many different countries, perhaps, you know, I personally am very interested to move forward also in this type of brainstorming activities. So yeah, these are my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you so much for this question and proposal.
We have another question.
So yeah, but this maybe any comments on this matter?
I have a comment. Let's talk later, but one of the things that you said brought me this question, because I work at the Congress, but also when you draft bills, you always have to think on the policy, like how it's gonna impact and how they're gonna implement that and control that. And one thing that you raised, for instance, in Argentinian parliament, we vote for the internet to be an essential service. But then it's like, who is the one that is bringing the service of the internet? You know, so it's a private company. So how this is gonna work if it's an essential service? Like we need to connect all the country. Like we need to have, you know, the infrastructure that we do not have, and we need money for that. So it's tricky, because even though the access to internet should be a human right now, like obviously, you also need infrastructure and money to guarantee that right. And should that be public? Yes, but can the public sector do that? I don't know. So it has to be the private one. So, you know, like it's super tricky in these things that the public sector doesn't have enough money to build this thing. That's why private companies do it. And also, as you said, as you mentioned, they have their own interest. Like, for instance, it happened with water. Like, you know, like the service of water, or for hygienic, I don't know how to say in English, like when you go to the toilet and the things. Like, why the government or the public sector is the ones that do it? Because they have interest in people. Because if you will have to do that, a private company, probably they won't do it, like, I don't know, in the rural areas, because it's a lot of cost. It's also with communications. So I think it's tricky, and I would like to discuss more about this thing between private sector and public sector, and how we can achieve that goal of having internet as a human right, as a public service, as a essential service. But how can we balance exactly the private and the public sector?
So actually, in this case, it seems to me that we can refer to the notion of ESG. So, and we're speaking about the private sector and all these matters. But however, we still the discussion will be already outside in this workshop room. So we have another question. Yes, please.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm kind of late, so I don't know if you spoke about it before, but I'm going to ask you, okay? My name is Nirvana Lima. I'm a facilitator of youth program. I work with Mariana, and I wanted to ask you about your opinion regarding the importance of media literacy for children and young people, even to boost youth internet governance initiatives in the world and mainly in the global south. What which stakeholder do you think should provide this type of initiative? Thank you.
So this is very important here.
Maybe try to answer it, but then anybody can, yeah. It's a good thing. I mean, the good question about media literacy because I think with the rise of the not the internet but the social media and especially the disinformation and fake news, this is very relevant. I also coming from my country, from Macedonia, it's very big topic, especially because of TikTok, short videos, YouTube shorts or whatever, and also a lot of byte clicks on the news media portals, which are just for clicks and for advertisement money. Well, it's a big topic, and with the question who should address this, I would say everyone, because first starting also this needs to be addressed also from the public institutions, maybe the schools. I'm not saying that it should be maybe separate subject or something like that, but it should be addressed and should be worked on this because how early you understand how to see and what to believe and not. I mean, of course, I have nephew and he is watching TikTok and he tells me a lot of things. So this is possible, and it's hard to him to prove at that age that that's not possible. I mean, just a video on TikTok and that it's not. How can I say? Many things. I mean about this. There, of course, I don't say that there is some nice stuff there also to watch, but according to the news. Also, the civil societies I want here because there are a lot of trainings or non-formal education or stuff that could bring to how can I say, to the point for the youth to understand, not just the youth but also the adult, because there are a lot of people that don't understand. I mean, they don't know how to fact check. They don't check also other relevant news. I mean, only read one portal or one channel on some of the platforms. But also I would say the media sometimes. It's very hard because some of the media it's producing those kind of news and they of course they don't want you to I mean this way, but to have what we have in our country they are now starting to do is some of the biggest media newspapers, TV and all those kind of things are agreeing on some kind of not a license but a proof that you are relevant media. And you have a checks or those kind of things, but still the people, I think it's a process, still go to other sites because we have portals where they don't write the author. So you can read the whole story. It might be true, it might not, but you cannot see who wrote this story. And there is nobody in the page to see, to contact or to anything. It's a news portal, but there is no one who you can find and of course read it about how it's done. So I would say anyone is here, and especially I would say, I mean, even if all these institutions are doing something, which is not true, but even if this is happening, I think it's still also to some extent responsibility to the user. Because I know we are too much now in technology, but everything becomes everyday job or everyday thing. I mean, we are using social media more than we sleep sometimes. So I would say that it's also responsibility to user to see new ways to learn about this. Sometimes they'll say, I cannot learn, it's too hard for me, or I don't want it. But this is the way how we are going to the future. I mean, and more we're going to relate on technology and on internet especially. So it's going to be my responsibility to see how can I get better or how can I get the right information. Okay, I need to fact check, okay, what I can do, how can I prepare it, let's check the site if it's relevant or not. I know that even if you are not tech guy, because I'm tech guy coming from this, but these are now becoming like not tech stuff, like it's like the normal stuff to how to use the internet. It's same like for security. I mean, now you need to know that your password must be long, must be hard to guess. We are using two-way authentication. Nobody wanted this. I mean, it's overloading, but that's the how it goes with the security, because there are a lot of problems. And I think it will be the same with those kind of news until we find a solution. How can we mitigate those kind of disinformation, misinformation, fake news, however we but yeah, I think that's enough for my side, so I will.
Thank you. I would like to add something actually about your last point. You told us about the users, and the Nirvana question was about the childhood at all, and it's interesting to. Are you listening? Maybe okay. It's interesting to think about them because, for example, they are not here. Actually, we saw some teenagers from Hong Kong here in all the event. Maybe they are 3 or 4, I don't know. And it's when we talk about everyone, we think about everyone, but we mostly don't think about them. I mean, it's everyone who is up 18 years old, but it's in the teenagers. They have strong opinions about their rights. So it's important to address them and to have them, to listen them about how to address all of them. They are youth too. Yeah, so, and we use it to talk about the youth, but we use it to don't think about them, we don't include them. And more than that, we need to be like a kind of, we need to be take care when we think about the responsibility to the users. I mean, the technology changed a lot in a quick way. We don't have our chair in the companies to choose what we have, what kind of content we have. They use it to talk that, oh, the algorithms cannot be auditable, so it's hard, and I don't think it's fair to share the responsible when we don't have the right of to choose what we are using. So just to add something, and more than that, we are talking about childhood and teenagers, and they have their rights to have opinion here, but they are still vulnerable in, I guess, in mostly of the countries, in most of the nations. So it's strict to talk about their responsibles too. So it's just to add to some of your comments.
I also want to add something that is kind of the same thing, but now the responsibility of users. I have a 4-year-old kid, and I try every day, because I'm in internet governance forum and on all these things. Every time that we walk, I was like, oh, Felix is his name. There is a camera. So he's super aware of security, of why people are watching us. Like, he's like, why is this camera pointing at me and filming me if I'm not a bad person? You know, like, he's really aware of everything. I think one thing that happens, and in this case is the perfect example, parents are not aware of how to be responsible users, so they cannot share that information with their kids. And therefore, their kids do not know how to use internet. But that's because parents don't know how to use internet. So I think that would be like the first thing, like, and that could be governmental policy to first teach parents how to use internet, because even parenting, they people, I have friends who are all over internet, all over Instagram, like sharing their pictures with their babies, and I'm like, please do not do that, please do not do that. And now with deepfakes and all that, it's getting worse. But parents do not realize that. Even at schools, sorry.
Yes.
UNICEF, it's one stakeholder that you can use. The Embassy of the United States, they give a lot of money for these kind of programs. So talk to the embassy, and if you want more, then I can share with you another stakeholders.
Okay, thank you so much. Fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.